right. It has its roots in the Congo region of Africa, and it comes from a Congolese word. Though associated with passing, Dinky rituals are celebratory occasions of merriment and joy. The original purpose of Dinky was to cheer up the family and relatives of the deceased. During the performance, the male dancer bends one leg at the knee and makes high leaps on the other foot. Both male and female dance together with very suggestive pelvic movements. An integral part of this dance is the use of the instrument called a benta. You didn't know them stuff here?
The skin is the barrier. To the barrier lands!
Thank you.
way to truly play the beat of our Jamaican culture. No one way to unfold the depth of the various movements that are intricately intertwined with the drums, or whatever uniquely made instruments that accompany each other. And certainly, no one way to shake our hips, tap our feet, move our hands, or dress to distinguish the truest form of our heritage in dance. But there are certainly several ways to tell the island's tale of musical artistry and infectious rhythms. Today, we tell the story of the African retention in one of our Jamaican traditional folk forms, Gere. Gere is one of Jamaica's more than 10 traditional folk forms that are mostly influenced by our African heritage and retention. Today, we take a close look at this work of art. To observe the fundamental rhythm of this artistry, we visited the award-winning William Knibb High School in Trelawney.
Hello, Bayado. Hello, Bayado. Hello, Bayado. You want me love later? Me put it on the table. Me put my con with it. Hello, Bayado. Hello, Bayado. Hello, Bayado.
Gere is a dance of African origin that is usually performed the second night after the death of a person. The dance is very lively, flirtatious, and celebratory in nature, geared towards cheering the bereaved.
I should tell you too that most of our traditional folk from the African retentions, they are more similarities than differences. And the differences come sometimes in the songs or the music instrument or some of the steps. But there are more similarities than differences.
With that said, the Gere dance is similar to that of Dinky Minnie and Zella, with more emphasis being placed on the hippie movement, executed mainly by the female dancers.
The main movement for the ladies is the hippie movement, right? The hippie movement. And it's not a whiny movement. It's not a whiny movement, it's just a little hippie movement. Like the mentor movement. A little dip. Alright? And for the males, you'll find them doing the knock knee like the Dinky Minnie.
The movements, although vigorous, are very subtle. The males would maintain the knock knee position while exhibiting various styles and nuances as they execute their movement with subtle breaks towards their female partner, which is signaled by the drums.
Bamboo, alik, bamboo. You hear me in a bamboo. You hear me in a bamboo. Bamboo, alik, bamboo.
The music and songs are done in ring game style and often employ a call and response, which indicates the type of movement the dancer should do.
So you have a caller and have the response. The group respond to it.
Like all our other traditional folk forms, the Gere dance would not be possible without lively musical accompaniment. A host of instruments are used to bring life to the dance.
In the Gere, you will see the rattle and the bass drum, which is a dominant to revival. But then the dominant thing in Gere that makes it different from Dinky Minnie and the other is the pot cover. And that gives a nice sound. Alright?
As it relates to costume, Gere dancers are clad in the typical African retention dress code, loose skirt and peasant blouse for the females, and tailored pants and dashiki shirt for males.
All over African retention dances, traditional folk forms, they are done with 16 persons performing, and you have 6 others outside doing the singing and playing the instruments.
Today, Gere is mostly practiced in the western end of the island, but you will also see it being performed as part of the annual JCDC Festival of the Performing Arts Competition. One thing is for sure, wherever it is practiced, one cannot help but notice that Gere has its own distinctive flair, which makes it a vital asset in Jamaica's rich amalgamation of cultures.
And when you bend down low, and when you bend down low, and when inna me way down way, inna me, and when you bend down low, and when you bend down low, and when you bend.
There's no one way to truly play the beat of our Jamaican culture. No one way to unfold the depth of the various movements that are intricately intertwined with the drums, or whatever uniquely made instruments that accompany each other. And certainly, no one way to shake our hips, tap our feet, move our hands, or dress to distinguish the truest form of our heritage in dance. But there are certainly several ways to tell the island's tale of musical artistry and infectious rhythms. Today, we tell the story of the African retention in one of our Jamaican traditional folk forms, tambu.
Among Jamaica's more than 10 traditional folk forms, most are heavily influenced by our African heritage and retention. In today's feature, we zoom in on one of them, tambu.
Me say me tambo, eh. Tambo aya. Tambo, eh. Tambo aya. Me say me tambo, eh. Tambo aya.
To witness the underlying beat of this treasure, we journeyed to the award-winning William Nib High School in Trelawney, which has mastered the presentation of this art form.
Bear me head, but I bear me foot and a cool shady. Bear me head, but I bear me foot and a cool shady.
So welcome to the Tambo Parish, which is Trelawney. This dance was originated in Wakefield. It basically practice. Well, we do the Tambo dance now for entertainment purposes or for the JCDC Inter-Performing Arts, where we try to showcase the Tambo dance. You know, it is a cultural dance and we want to maintain our cultural heritage.
Tambu is a lively and flirtatious dance derived from the French word tambour, meaning drums. Its lineage is also traced to the word tumba, which has been reported by the Congo people. Tambu is closely related to music and dance practices in the wider West Indies and the Virgin Islands. The dance shares movements similar to those of the belly of Martinique and Guadeloupe and can be compared to the bambula, which was danced in the 19th century in Louisiana. Today, Tambu is considered one of the many death observances of Jamaica.
Mariah lose her baby. Say kapisa tambo, Mariah lose her baby.
In Tambu, you will observe couples advancing and retreating. They also often progress with a shuffle step, with the feet flat on the ground.
In terms of the movement now, the Tambo have basic movement. We have what we call the cheche, marumba, right? And you have the shake or the stallion. So this is one, right? You have the marumba, right? And some people call the shake or the stallion. So you see the men, the ladies will do the twirl with their arms, and you'll find the males.
Like most of our African retention folk forms, there are a number of musical instruments that accompany the singing of the dancers. At the moment, you are witnessing the beating of the tambu drum and the catasticks. The catasticks play a steady pattern that does not change and leads the drummers to give more drive to the dance.
With the tambo, as you notice with the videos, each time the movement change, and the movement changes with the beating of the drum. So the drum actually tell the dancers which movement they are to do as it relates to the dance.
The number of performers in tambu range from 12 to 16 dancers, both male and female. And like all the other African retention folk forms, there is a specific dress code for both genders.
The general attire for the African retention dances. For the ladies, They dress loose dress with peasant top or skirt and peasant top blouse. And for the male, it's supposed to be tailored pants. Tailored pants and like a dashiki shirt.
Today, Tambo is mostly practiced in its home parish, Trelawney, but it is also currently performed as part of the annual JCDC Festival of the Performing Arts Competition. Whether it is practiced, one will clearly see that Tambo has its own unique flavor, a necessary ingredient in the multifaceted melting pot of our heritage. It is a Jamaican traditional folk form.
Go on, gentlemen, go on. 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 Dear lady. Dear lady. Dear lady. Dear lady.
There's no one way to truly play the beat of our Jamaican culture. No one way to unfold the depth of the various movements that are intricately intertwined with the drums, or whatever uniquely made instruments that accompany each other. And certainly, no one way to shake our hips, tap our feet, move our hands, or dress to distinguish the truest form of our heritage in dance. But there are certainly several ways to tell the island's tale of musical artistry and infectious rhythms. Today, we tell the story of the African retention in one of our Jamaican traditional folk forms, Dinky Mini.
In order to showcase the intricacies of this cultural treasure, we visited the Islington Cultural Group in St. Mary. Dinky Mini is of African origin of the wake and is usually performed on the 2nd to 8th night of the traditional 9 nights after the death of a person. It is very lively and celebratory in nature because its main purpose is to cheer up the bereaved. The distinguishing characteristic and basic movement of Dinky Mini is dab step.
You can dab to the side or forward and back. So the dabbing movement is on the ball of the foot, the ball, and as if the floor is hot and you're taking it up. Aye, aye. So you know you get a dabbing step, and you can dab forward and you can dab back, forward and back, or to the side, or forward and back. You can bend a little more, and you can forward and back. The more you bend, that's what you get the beauty of the movement.
Another movement is the gallop step, which is done with the knees together as the dancer hoops and splay the legs apart with the knees still held close. The flexed foot pumping movement happens when the weight is firmly on the left foot. The right foot is then flexed, and this working leg is pumped across the body in quick jabbing movements. The corkscrew movement is also done, but mostly by the ladies. It is a spiral rotation of the torso, using the ball of the right foot and the left one flat on the ground.
And I should say too, in the Dinky Mini, the dominant thing for the males is the knock knee. Just as what I was doing the dabbing, the knock knee,
Dinky Mini is considered a dance for couples and takes the form of a ring game, utilizing circles and semicircles. The dancers sing using mento style, and the songs are mainly call and response.
dominant instrument in Dinky Mini is the benta. The benta is like 4 joints of bamboo, and in the middle is like a piece of it is lift and replaced with some strings like line, and then on that line and attached with 2 bars at the ends, and it is placed on a block when it is being played, and then you have the gourd, we call it gourdy. The seeds are taken from it, and there's one hole in it, and that hole, from that it moves along the strings, the line that they use for the strings, and it gives a nice little sound. A coo, a coo, a coo. So as the gourd move along the strings, it gives a nice little sound. A coo, a coo, a coo, and that is where you get the steps from, the dabbing step.
Other instruments such as the grater and rattle and bass drums join in keeping the dancers going.
We have to remember that for our traditional folk forms, they can dance forever. That's why you find that when you go to the night and dance, you can dance from night right back to the next morning. Why? Because all of our movements is basically done in a bent knee position. And when you're in a bent knee position, you can dance, you're relaxed, and you can dance for a long period of time.
Like all the other African retention folk forms, there is a specific dress code for both the genders. Loose skirt and peasant blouse for the females, and tailored pants and a dashiki shirt for the men. Today, Dinky Mini is mostly practiced in its home parish, St. Mary. But it is also commonly performed as part of the annual Jamaica Cultural Development Commission's Festival of the Performing Arts Competition. No matter where it is practiced, it's hard to not notice Dinky Mini in action, with its distinctive rhythm, which plays a key role in our island's rich traditional dance legacy.
History is the landmark by which we are directed into the future. Our traditional dances form an integral part of our history and play a significant role in the process of our cultural development.
Jamaican traditional dances stem from two regions, Africa and Europe. You'll find that the influences have come through the African slaves who were brought to Jamaica, and also through the Europeans who were the slave masters, and there was an intermingling of some of the movement as time went by. But we find that we have retentions which are purely African in nature, and then we also have retentions which are a mix of the African and European.
our traditional dances. It is usually associated with wakes or nine nights, but our African ancestors performed this ritual at births, anniversaries, and Thanksgiving ceremonies. The drum is an integral part of this dance ritual, and white rum is used to anoint the players and instruments prior to the start of the ceremony. Kumina is performed primarily in the parish of St. Thomas and to a lesser extent in St. Mary and St. Catherine. Tambu groups are found mainly in Trelawney. This dance form resembles that of Kumina. Tambu is performed mainly for entertainment, and there's a similarity in the dance movements to that of the ballet of Martinique and Guadeloupe. Gere and Dinky Mini are of African origin and are usually performed after a death up until 9 nights after the death. Gere is common in the western end of the island. Dinky Mini is unique to the parish of St. Mary. Gere and Dinky Mini sessions are usually held to cheer the bereaved. Many of our traditional dances originated on the sugar plantations, much to the embarrassment of the planter class.
At one time, they tried to prevent the African dances from being performed. It was banned, and so a number of the dances went underground. They would perform them secretly at night in the deep parts of the kin pieces and so on. And you find that those that have been preserved, particularly the Kumina and some of the others that I've mentioned, have survived because of this pressure to retain their heritage.
Quadrille is a ballroom set dance which originated in the courts of Europe and was performed in Jamaica by the gentry during slavery. There are two styles, the ballroom, which is the European style, and the camp style, the creolized fashion. Mento bands accompanied these dances, playing a variety of European tunes. Brockins is a traditional dance performed in the past mainly to celebrate the anniversary of emancipation from slavery, August 1, 1838. Brookings has set dancers in blue and red who perform in a sort of contest between kings and queens of each set. Brookings is now practiced mainly in the parish of Portland. Maypole is of European origin, originally performed on May 1 at the May Day fertility ceremonies in England. This dance was done across the island, especially on the sugar estates. It is now very Jamaican in character. Groups may comprise 12 to 16 dancers, sometimes all female or with mixed couples. The plaiting of the pole with colored ribbon has basic traditional patterns, starting with the grand chain, wrapping the ribbon around the pole from the top. The plaiting continues away from the pole, ending in the basket weave, before the unplaiting takes place. The maypole dance is still performed all over Jamaica, especially among schools for special ceremonies.